There are moments in life when everything outside looks the same, but something inside quietly says, "This cannot continue like this." The same places, the same people, the same routines, but the way they land inside feels heavier, more empty, or simply outdated. At these times, many attempts to change life start by rearranging the outside. New job, new relationship, new city, new habits. Sometimes this helps for a while. But if the inner lens stays exactly the same, the new life starts to feel like the old one very quickly. The same frustrations appear in different rooms. The same dynamics appear with different faces. This is where mind renewal and perception shift become essential. Instead of asking only, "What needs to change out there?" a deeper question appears. What inside keeps interpreting life in the same painful way? Renewing the mind is not about erasing history or forcing positive thoughts. It is about slowly changing the lens through which reality is seen, so that life can be experienced in a new way, even before every external detail changes. The mind is constantly creating a version of reality, not just reflecting it. It takes raw events and runs them through filters made of memories, beliefs, fears, and expectations. Two people can live the same situation and tell completely different stories about what happened. One says, "This shows that nothing ever works out." The other says, "This shows that it is time to adjust the path." Same event, different meaning. Perception is not neutral. It is deeply personal and deeply trained. Mind renewal begins when this is realized, that many automatic interpretations are not truths carved into the universe, but habits learned over years. When an interpretation is seen as a habit instead of a fact, it becomes something that can be questioned and updated. The mind loves familiar patterns, even when they are painful. A person who grew up surrounded by criticism often learns to scan every situation for signs of rejection. A person who grew up in chaos often expects the next problem even in quiet moments. Over time, this expectation becomes the main lens. Neutral moments are read as threats. Small delays become proof of abandonment. Minor mistakes become proof of failure. The outer world may change, but the inner script repeats. Mind renewal asks, what story is being played on repeat here? It is not about blaming the self for this story. It is about finally recognizing that it is a story, not a law of nature. Perception shift does not mean pretending pain never happened. It means letting pain have a different place in the story. Instead of "this wound defines everything and will always repeat," the narrative begins to move toward "this wound shaped a part of perception, but it does not have to rule the future." The brain is capable of forming new pathways. Emotional wiring can be softened and rewired when given new experiences and new meanings. This is not instant, but it is possible. Mind renewal is the art of giving experiences a more truthful, less catastrophic interpretation again and again until the nervous system starts to believe the new version. Sometimes this begins with very small shifts in wording. Instead of "this always happens," the mind can experiment with, "This has happened many times, but I am learning to respond differently." One of the core movements in mind renewal is noticing the automatic first meaning given to events. A friend cancels plans. The first meaning might be, "They are tired." Or it might be, "They do not like this connection enough." Someone makes a neutral comment. The first meaning might be, "They are just talking." Or it might be, "They are criticizing." The first meaning often reveals the old lens. A practical way to start shifting perception is to pause and ask, what else could this mean? Not to deny possible harm, but to open space for more than one interpretation. This simple question moves perception from rigid to flexible. In time, the mind becomes less certain that its first story is always the only story. Another key element is understanding that attention naturally highlights what matches expectation. If the mind carries the belief, "People eventually leave," it will pay more attention to every sign of distance and less attention to every sign of genuine care. If the belief is, "Good things do not last," every small difficulty in a good situation will feel like proof that the end is coming. Renewal means training attention to notice the full picture, not only the parts that confirm old fears. This might look like deliberately remembering moments when someone stayed, when something went well, when things did not fall apart. At first, this feels unnatural. Old beliefs say, "Do not trust this, it is temporary." But over time, The mind learns that reality is more mixed than the old narrative suggests. Pain and support can exist in the same life. Loss and care can appear in the same story. Mind renewal also involves the relationship with the self. Many inner systems have built a harsh inner voice that comments on every action. That was stupid. That was not enough. Others would handle this better. This voice feels like a guide, but it is actually a prison guard, built from internalized criticism and fear. Perception shift here means seeing the self through a more accurate lens. Instead of framing every mistake as a personal flaw, it becomes possible to frame it as part of learning. Instead of reading every difficulty as proof of weakness, it can be seen as proof of being human. This does not remove responsibility. It removes unnecessary cruelty. A renewed mind does not need constant self-attack to stay honest. It can correct behavior without erasing worth. There is also a spiritual aspect to perception. The mind tends to organize reality into good and bad events. The good ones are allowed, the bad ones are rejected. But from a deeper perspective, many of the painful chapters end up shaping qualities that would not exist without them. Depth, empathy, courage, discernment, boundaries. Mind renewal does not romanticize suffering, but it does allow a wider view. This experience hurt, and it also carved something inside that later became wisdom. With this view, life stops being only a series of random punishments and becomes a complex field of growth, even when growth is slow and messy. This kind of spiritual perception does not deny injustice or bypass grief. It simply refuses to let pain be the final meaning of everything. Perception shift often starts in small, ordinary situations. When facing a minor inconvenience like traffic, a long line, or a delay, the old perception might say, "Everything is against this life." The renewed perception might say, "This is annoying, but it is not personal." That shift may seem small, but it prevents the nervous system from turning a simple delay into an identity crisis. In relationships, instead of moving quickly to "they do this because there is no worth here," a renewed mind might try. They have their own fears and limits. This is not only about worth. Again, the situation might still need boundaries or changes, but the inner meaning becomes less poisonous. The mind stops stabbing the wound again and again with the same interpretation. There is a helpful image. Perception is like wearing tinted glasses. If the glasses are tinted with mistrust, everything looks suspicious. If they are tinted with shame, everything looks like a potential proof of not being enough. Mind renewal is not switching to fake, rose-colored glasses that deny all danger and difficulty. It is cleaning the lens so that what is seen is closer to the real color of things. This means acknowledging good where good exists, danger where danger exists, nuance where nuance exists. The mind learns to see more clearly, not more naively. It recognizes that not every silence is rejection, not every disagreement is abandonment, not every mistake is a catastrophe. Language plays a huge role in perception. The phrases used repeatedly shape how life feels. Sentences like, "It is always like this," "Nothing ever works," "No one understands." Close perception, they shut doors. More precise language opens doors. Often it feels like this: "This did not work this time. Some people do not understand, but maybe some could." Again, this is not about fake positivity. It is about being accurate. The nervous system responds differently to always and never than to often and sometimes. Mind renewal often begins with updating language, which then slowly updates feeling. Over time, this kind of precision makes inner life feel less hopeless and more workable. Emotional memory can make the present look like the past, even when it is not. When someone in the present uses a certain tone of voice, looks a certain way, or creates a certain feeling, the mind quickly connects it to older experiences: a parent, a teacher, a partner. Before there is time to think, perception shifts from "this person now" to "every person who has ever hurt me." Reactions become bigger than the moment. Mind renewal includes the practice of asking, how much of what is being felt right now belongs to this moment, and how much belongs to the past? Even if the answer is not exact, the question itself creates space. It stops the past from fully swallowing the present. The current situation can then be seen as new, even if it touches old pain. Another layer of perception shift is learning to see small changes that old perception ignores. When working on healing, growth, or any inner process, the mind often says, "Nothing is changing." But if attention looks closely, there might be signs: reacting slightly slower, being kinder in self-talk once in a while, setting one boundary, resting before complete burnout, asking for help for the first time. The old lens says, "This is nothing. It does not count." Real change would look bigger. A renewed mind says, "This is small, but it matters." This is how new patterns begin. This shift is crucial because what is acknowledged tends to grow. Every small act of choosing a new perception is like placing one stone in a new foundation. Mind renewal is also supported by environment and input. The information and energy taken in daily constantly influence perception. If the mind is fed only with messages of fear, outrage, and comparison, it will naturally see the world as mostly dangerous and the self as mostly inadequate. This does not mean avoiding reality. It means balancing input. Intentionally reading, listening to, or watching content that encourages nuance, depth, compassion, and clarity helps build a different mental atmosphere. Surroundings that contain even small moments of beauty, order, or quiet can support this shift. Over time, this atmosphere becomes the background against which life is interpreted. It is important to recognize that mind renewal is not a quick flip of a switch. Old perceptions were built through years of repetition and experience. New perceptions need time, patience, and repeated practice. There will be days when the old lens comes back strongly. On those days, it is tempting to think, "Nothing is changing. This is useless." A renewed perspective can even be applied here. Today is a day when the old pattern is loud again. That does not erase every step taken so far. This prevents a temporary setback from being turned into a permanent conclusion. Mind renewal is more like changing the direction of a river than flipping a light. It happens through continuous redirection. In a deeper sense, mind renewal is a form of self-liberation. It frees the inner world from stories that were never fully chosen. It allows the self to see life, others, and inner experiences with more clarity and compassion. Perception shift does not erase all pain, but it changes the way pain is carried. It also opens space for more joy, gratitude, and presence, because the mind is no longer constantly filtering reality only through threat and lack. Life may still be imperfect and complex, but the inner relationship with it becomes less hostile and more cooperative. The same day, seen through a renewed mind, feels different, not perfect, but more open, more breathable. If these reflections on mind renewal and perception shift bring even a small sense of recognition or relief, this is an invitation to keep exploring this territory more deeply. For more content on the mind, emotional healing, spiritual psychology, and inner transformation, subscribing to this channel keeps these conversations close. Liking this video helps this kind of message reach others who feel trapped in old narratives about themselves and their lives. Sharing it with someone who keeps living the same stories in different places might give them a language for what they are experiencing. And if one old lens or one new perception became visible while listening, naming it in the comments can be the first gentle step in changing the way reality is seen from the inside out.